everyone. Welcome to our very first episode of Third Shot Podcast for 2024. It sounds weird even saying it, but we've already wrapped up one full year of our podcast. So we
Yay.
still on social, Instagram and X, as well as Facebook at Third Shot Podcast.
Hmm?
Or actually, X is Third Shot Pod. Oh my gosh. Third Shot Pod on X. Instagram at Third Shot Podcast. We've got some exciting things coming up this year, so please keep following us along. We've got some exciting things on our website and merchandise, so keep an eye out.
All right.
Happy New Year's, Uncle Greg and Russ.
Happy New Year's.
Year.
Got the
I'm in the spirit. As you can
Yes.
see, people on YouTube, I am wearing my party hat for this episode.
There you
Yeah,
are.
he's ready to celebrate.
That's
Cheers.
right. Cheers to 2024.
Now that we've all got the same glasses, we could tell that I take the smallest shots. I actually poured more in there, so I actually did have some before.
But maybe they're the strongest shots.
It might
That's
be. I don't know.
true. It's not always
Right.
quantity.
A limoncello
And
stuff.
sometimes they're not even alcoholic shots. Full disclosure. Sometimes when
Oh.
we're recording early in the morning, stuff like that.
Oh, it's
yeah,
coffee shots.
There is day dinking. But we try to stay away from the 9 o'clock in the morning day drinking.
Right.
Right, yes.
We got stuff to do.
So, we went back and we listened to last year's New Year show, and we kind of listened to what our last year's resolutions were and what our goals were for the year. And let's share with the audience what they were and did we actually accomplish them? Bridget, go ahead and you start.
All right, I'll kick it off. So last year, my resolution was to start playing in tournaments because at that time I'd never played in one. And it was a success.
Yes, it was.
We did it. We played in a few tournaments. I think it was 4. And got a couple of medals along the way. So I feel pretty
That's right.
accomplished. We'll have to set a new one later on.
Well, the one on top of the plaza, you actually got 2 medals because you got it in women's doubles and mixed doubles. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it was an exciting year, I think. And I think setting the goal of playing in tournaments really did kind of help me focus on my game, get me more involved in the pickleball community. And that was just another way for us to get together and play in more matches with one another and also meet some people along the way.
Yeah, I love coming down to Vegas to visit you.
It's so
Playing
much fun.
pickleball, visit you, visit Amanda, who people got a chance to meet at last episode. It's just the best when I get to go down to Vegas and play some pickleball, talk about some different merch that we're going to be coming out with, designing some new designs. It's all good. It's all good. Russ, what was your goal last year?
My well, see, so I started the show without playing the pickleball. Greg comes to me and he's like, "Hey, I got this idea for a new podcast," and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be cool. What is this?" And he's like, "Pickleball," and I'm like, "Okay, this is gonna be cool. What is that?" And I figure it out. I find out about it, and I'm like, "Okay, this is fun." So my was just to play. Like that was my resolution last year, and I've done that. So I actually right before the show, I was trying to play today, but everybody else was in on the planet, so didn't quite get in there. But yeah, playing. So I would say I did that. I had another one where I was going to go and like have little adventures on Wednesdays. That didn't work out so well, but it leaves me something for this year, I guess.
Well, I got to ask you, since this is your first year of playing, what do you think of the sport?
It's fun. It's fun. My son and I were actually going to try today to play against other people instead of just playing against each other. So we've gotten to that point where we feel comfortable, like,
Yeah.
not like we're not going to just mess up somebody else's day by playing against them. So, I'm to that point. So I feel good about that.
So would you drop the whole, hey, yeah, I do a pickleball podcast. You want to play doubles? Would you go that route? Just kind of like
Ooh.
give a little intimidation factor going?
I don't think I would. I don't think I'm to that point yet. Well, I'll throw on the merch and, yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Let
follow-up question. How happy are you that you said yes to Uncle Greg's podcasting idea?
Oh, this is great. I mean, this is like, there's okay, we do the business show. That one's a lot of fun. I've done plenty of other podcasts. They're all fun. What I like about this one is we get to drink. No, we we get to meet some really interesting people that, come on and they talk about their passion and these new like okay, the business show, same thing, right? We talk about with some great people and whatnot. But with this, there's so many people in the beginning stages of starting something and like the paddle companies that are coming on, the apparel companies that are coming on. It's all this just new stuff. And it's cool to be a part of that early on and just like see them all growing and whatnot. So I think it's great that we're doing this and introducing those people to the people that are listening to this show. So I think that's really cool.
And relatively speaking, it's kinda new for the 3 of us too. It's not like it's something like Russ, you've been in
Yeah,
business for, decades, I have as well. I mean, it's not like that where, we've been doing it for 30 years. It's something
right,
that's so
right.
brand new. I mean, Bridgie's been playing pickleball the longest, and how long has it been since you started playing now?
Just over 2 years now.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2, a year and a half, and a year. Like, well, I'll go ahead and say a year, but I don't think it's
So
quite there yet.
Yeah, it kinda
so
depends, like, how often you play. Because really,
Right.
like, from the time you learn to the next time that you play, it's been, a duration. So does that count as a year or what?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know.
Well, it does in like marriage or something, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then my resolution last year, I totally forgot until we went back and listened that I had an injury and I was dealing with, kind of a leg issue, hip, I don't know, that whole region issue, right? And I was working with Blaze Boudreau, who came on one of our early episodes, I think episode 3, and he was helping me out and he put together a whole program for me and I've continued through the stretching that he's provided me. He's given me different tips throughout the year. Still working with Blaze. So if you're in the Vegas area, you're looking for a trainer, whether you're a pickleball player or not, Blaze Boudreau is fantastic. Reach out to us if you need his contact information. We can provide it for you. But it's worked out extremely well. My recovery is faster. I feel good on the court. I think I'm moving better. I don't have that injury anymore. New injuries have popped up, but not due to not stretching and not preparing my body. It was different stuff that's happened, but more from work. Like, how does business that should not be a contact sport, but it somehow is. It's my body.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you
Really.
guys have planned for 2024, Reg? What do you let's start with you.
Alright. So 2024's resolution, I gotta stick with the pickleball theme, of course, will be to be more active or to, I guess, to be active on Duper so I can get an official Duper rating this year.
Nice.
What do you think you're gonna be at? What do you think you're at
Oh,
right now?
man. I
Because
would
I got asked this question,
say
or actually I asked other people that question about me recently, but what do you think you're at?
oh, you're pretty ballsy to ask somebody else. I think I don't wanna hear what their
It's
answer
not like
would
I'm going
be.
up to somebody and go, "Hey, how old are you?" Or,
I think I would be, like, between a 3 and a 3.5 because 'cause we've
Yeah,
played in tournaments, 3.0 and 3.5 tournaments, and I didn't feel like I was, at a level that I couldn't compete with.
not at
Definitely,
all.
I mean, I didn't get a gold, so obviously I'm not above that, but it's just I
I
think
take
somewhere between the 2.
I take responsibility, Bridgie. You should have
No
gotten a
way.
gold. I think I messed up.
Not at all. We've got another year to get gold.
We're gonna do it this year. We're gonna do it, even if we have to go like 1.5. So we're gonna win a gold. No, we don't like that. We do not encourage
We don't
that. That is
sandbag, yeah.
no, that is just a joke, people. We do not like the staggers. We wanna go in rated properly. So that's good. If you get your duper official duper, then we'll know exactly where you're at. But I
And
think you're
then
closer to a 3.5 than a 3.0,
thank you.
if not above a 3.5. But who knows? We'll see. Those duper ratings are interesting.
Yeah, and I think that it'll also help me stay motivated to like keep increasing my game because sometimes I just get into it like, oh, I'm just out here having fun with friends. Like I think I get more caught up in the social kind of recreational aspect of it, but it's also nice to still be competitive and working on my game and advancing in my skills. So I think Duper will do it for me.
Yeah. And I know you were mentioning previously that there aren't a lot of duper events in Vegas. So anybody listening, if you're in Vegas area, you know of a duper event, reach out to us, specifically Bridgie, let her know like something's coming up.
Yes, I would love that. Yeah, because when I first signed up and I was looking, it was really hard to find a duper event. And then I just never went back on the app to see what was out there. So
Mhm.
this will be the year.
Russ, what do you have planned for this year?
I mean, I'll continue the play more. I think that would be the top one. Um, as far as like, I mean, that's the pickleball thing. As far as the whole, the like the on the podcast side of things, I've started to do some more podcasting, believe it or not, and just to continue that because I have so much fun doing these and making that happen. So I think those are easier ones than trying to find a new place to go every Wednesday. Oh, and also I will say, I did make it through an entire year without calling paddles rackets, like I was doing in the early episodes. So that's a
Yeah.
win too.
Now you got the lingo down, right? You got all the
Right.
You
terms.
pro.
We did the trivia on the terms, so now you got some crazy falafel term that you can throw out to somebody.
I don't remember what that one means. That's the problem.
Yeah, but just throw it out. They don't know what it
Okay.
means either. It'll sound
Right.
good.
That's right. I don't think any one of us knows.
And they're
So
like, well, what is
Yeah,
it? And you can say, Google it, and then they'll see that it's a pickleball
exactly.
term.
Google it.
Yeah.
I
but if
know
they
what I'm talking
Google
Google
pickleball in Italian, who knows what they're gonna hear?
about. Exactly. All right.
So what
So, well,
about you, Uncle? Yeah.
yeah. What's your next year looking like?
I want to get more active in the community with pickleball. So I want to figure out how I can just be more active around the Bay Area and stuff like that. Because I typically spend most of my time within, two or three different courts. And I don't know what that means though. I don't know if it means I'm going to travel more around the Bay Area to play at different courts, to meet different people, or within my area, I'm gonna be more active. Like I did have an opportunity to assist in a duper tournament where I got to be one of the people that ran it. I wasn't the head person, but I was an assistant, and that was kind of an eye opener. Um, Somebody asked me maybe to help create a league, within our club. I think that's kind of cool. I'd be really interested in seeing what are the ins and outs of creating a league and how do you make them better, that type of thing, and what people like about leagues. So that's a possibility, or maybe just traveling around more and playing at different places and just meeting more people and spreading the word. And maybe if there's a way I can get more beginners playing, that would be something I'd enjoy doing as well. So I don't know. It's kind of still up in the air, but I want to do something with the community to grow the sport.
I love it.
I like
And I
it.
think we kept saying throughout last year, we need to get to Florida, all of
We
us,
do.
for like a tournament or just to go there and play for like a week. Because it's like the unofficial, official capital of pickleball, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, Diadem was saying they may have another conference, right? And big product announcement type of thing in Florida.
There we go.
So maybe that's a good reason to go out and do it.
Could
Yeah.
be.
I know Major League Pickleball has invited us to a number of different events that they have that travel around the different chicken and pickles. So maybe one of them will be in Florida or a different state. That should be a goal. Besides Nevada and California, we should try to do one of our podcasts from another state this year.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Think we could pull that one off?
I don't know. I'm gonna be in Austin in February, so let's make that happen.
I
Get some
love
Ooh,
barbecue,
Austin.
play some
Yeah.
pickleball.
I love
They've
Austin as well.
they have some pretty cool venues in Austin, pickleball venues,
Oh, really?
where it's like an outdoor type of setting and, like the bar, the live music, the total Austin scene, but mixed with pickleball.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
Okay.
Is there barbecue mixed in there too?
Oh, there has to be.
Either
Right?
barbecue or tacos, one of the two.
Yeah,
Gonna
barbecue
happen.
tacos.
But with me and barbecue tacos, I can see how sticky my hands are gonna get. They
Mm.
better have some wet wipes or something before I go out and play. Otherwise, I'm just gonna make a mess. I'll have to do over grip or something, rewrap all the every game because yeah, the tacos are pretty messy. I love them though.
Oh, yeah.
I think we
Oh, yeah.
got a winner. So maybe Texas, maybe
Yes.
Florida. Okay, so those two states are on the radar.
I
And then
like it.
maybe 2025, we do international.
Oh, yeah, England.
England's been calling us, right?
Right.
And we
Yes.
will have a guest coming up this year from the UK. So maybe that invite will happen.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right.
Stay tuned. Yep.
Stay tuned. We got some fun stuff. And we have a fun guest coming up right after our quick little break. We have Scott Phillips, the founder of Thrive Pickleball. And I've been playing, Bridgie's been playing the Thrive paddles now, not rackets, but Thrive paddles for for a while. And we are loving it. So we can't wait for all of you to get to know Scott from Thrive Pickleball and get to know his paddles. They are wonderful. So stay tuned. Come on back. We'll be with Scott, Thrive Pickleball. Thanks for hanging in there during the break. We are back. And again, I wanted to thank all of you for sharing all of the feedback that you're providing us on social media, on our website. Thank you so much. Please keep following us on both Facebook, Instagram, X, and go to YouTube to check us out on video. It's always fun to kind of match the faces to the voices. So thank you again for all of that. Bridgie and I are super, super excited to have the founder of Thrive Pickleball with us, Scott Phillips. Scott, welcome to the show and
Hey,
happy
thanks for
New Year.
having me tonight. Oh,
Yeah,
same to
happy
you.
New Year. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we do need to do a cheers or a little toast to the new year and to Thrive Pickleball, who have some amazing paddles.
absolutely. Cheers.
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 Before we started, Scott, you told me what you were drinking. I just hope that you can share that with our audience because I love what you're drinking.
Oh, well, let me grab the bottle real quick.
All right.
But just had to have a little New Year's toast, so I had a little screwball, which is peanut butter whiskey. So
I
that's
love
what I was drinking.
that.
I've never had peanut butter whiskey, but I know that uncle's probably drooling over there because isn't peanut butter like one of your favorite flavors?
It absolutely is. I love it. I love peanut butter and I love whiskey. So you put those two things together and Screwball did it right. So love it.
Yeah, it tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup in a drink.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. Which is my favorite candy.
Well,
So,
see,
like,
you
and
got to
any of
get
the
some.
kids come over for Halloween, they'll never get the Reese's cups because I eat them all before Halloween hits.
That's great.
Well, Scott, we've got a lot to talk about, but before we get into the paddles and the technology behind it, tell us how you got your first look into pickleball and how long have you been playing?
Well, I think like a lot of people, I got into pickleball during COVID. I live in a golf course community, and the golf courses were closed, and we just built 4 courts. And my friends and I wanted to do something outside, so we bought a couple paddles, started banging the ball around, and I kind of got hooked to it, and started playing. And that was like probably about 2020 or so. And about a year ago, um, I just decided that I wasn't really happy with the paddles that were out there. I was going through paddles all the time, started learning about the paddles, and I just decided to see what I could do and try to develop my own paddle. And it just kind of got started that way. And then after months and months of building different paddles, kind of came up with a couple paddles that we really liked, and just went from there.
So you're saying you kind of went through a few months of building different paddles. How did you go about building paddles? Like, how does somebody just say, "Hey, I want to start building paddles"?
Um, well, I teamed up with Patrick Kafka, who's a pro pickleball player. He was introduced to me, and he's a local in Las Vegas, where I'm from. And I picked his brain and kind of asked him, like, what does he like about a certain paddle and what he doesn't like. And once we figured out what we don't like and what we wanted to try to accomplish, just went to different manufacturers, kind of told them what I was looking for, and they would send out the paddles. And then after we'd get them, and I have a box of probably 150 paddles,
Oh,
and we would just keep building on what we had. If we didn't like something at all, it would get tossed away. If we liked something from a certain manufacturer, we'd say, hey, we want to do this to it. Can you do that? Yes. I like this weighting. Can you do that? And then finally, we kind of just built like the perfect balance paddle with all the newest, latest technology. And then we just had to decide how many different models, what different shapes and sizes and whatnot that we were going to do. And that's how we came up with the Rush and the Rush and the Threat, are two models that we have.
Wow, it sounds like such a process. And as you describe it, you say we. Did you have a whole testing team, or was it just you and Patrick, or how did that process work?
Well, what we do, and I think it's very important, is our consumer base are players, mostly amateurs. So what we would do is once we came up with the prototype, I call them prototypes, I would have a couple friends, all different various levels, 3 O's, 3 5s, 4 O's, 5 O's, and I'd let them basically hit the paddles and see what they like. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is what the amateurs like. It's not what a pro likes or necessarily what I like. It's what the general public, what they want, what they like, what they feel. And we try to just, combine everything that we were looking at and what the feedback that they gave, and came up with these two great paddles that we have.
I'm curious, like what type of feedback did they give you? And did you find that it really varied from a 3-0 player versus a 4-5 player, for example?
That's a great question. There's two types of players I always put the categories. The ones, the bangers that want to hit it hard, and more of the people that have played for a long time that like more of a control paddle. So we kind of thought to ourselves, we got to kind of come in between. You can't have nine different paddles. At the time that we were developing the paddles, thermal forming was just becoming very popular. So you had a lot of different paddle manufacturers that were building really fast hitting paddles, but they were breaking. They were core crushing, delaminating, and we decided together that that's something we didn't want to deal with. We did not want to have a paddle that hit super hard but would break, because who wants to go through the returns? Who wants the customer to go through the returns? So we told ourselves, let's get a paddle that hits hard but is going to be consistent. It's not going to break. And you're going to have great spin, great control, great feel. And, we feel that's what we came up with.
You
Yeah,
did.
and I think we can attest to that as well, is that it is a fantastic paddle. How
Well,
long did
thank you.
this whole process take though? Because 2020 was not too long ago, which is when you first started playing. And now you've got two wonderful paddles out there on the line already.
Well, we started in 2023. So, I was playing pickleball for a couple of years, and I think it was about the beginning of 2023, maybe February or March, kind of started tinkering with it. And it took about 4 or 5 months to kind of come up with the paddle that we wanted. And we officially launched a website in October of this, well, I guess it would be last year because we're in 2024 now.
Yeah.
But in October is when we officially launched it. The PPA Las Vegas is when the website went live. So we probably had about 5 to 6 months of testing all the different paddles.
Well, as a business owner myself, I am always curious, like what the business journey is like. It sounds sexy, like, hey, I own a pickleball paddle company. I got to test out all 150 different paddles to come up with the perfect paddle for me and stuff. It sounds so much fun, but as a business owner, I know there are so many different challenges that come up along the way. Without getting into too much details, like what exactly were some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome?
Well, the main thing is when we first started, my main goal was, since I live in Las Vegas, was to get the community backing the paddle. I think that's very important to have any local company to have support from the people that live in your city. So the first thing that I did was I wanted to find out who the best players in town were, which I knew sort of who they were, and I wanted them to all play the paddle, or at least try the paddle. If they liked it, I wanted them to be sponsored by me. And currently, we probably have every top level pro in town. I can name the list. Obviously, Patrick Kafka. We have Lauren Mercado, Raina Ash, Courtney Clark, Cheryl Bond, Alec Weller, um, Luke Ness. Oh gosh, I'm probably forgetting a bunch of people too, but basically all the pros in town um, play Thrive. They're on our team, which was very important to me. It gave legitimacy to the paddle, and from there we could branch off to other places and get ambassadors and have them try the paddles and try to expand from there. I don't think if we didn't have the support of our city, we would be. I would probably wouldn't be sitting here right now.
I gotta tell a quick story. Sorry, Bridgie, for jumping in, but Bridgie and I went to Sunset, and the last time I was in town, we were playing, and we both, were playing your Thrive paddles, right? And the guy that we were playing against, he saw us walk up with the Thrives, and he goes, "Uh-oh, you guys are Thrive players." Immediately, we had court cred because we were walking
We
on.
did.
That's great. That's great.
So if
Oh, I forgot.
anybody's
I forgot one person though. I forgot Alex Simon, who you're very good friends with, who was very
yes.
instrumental in testing the paddle as well. As he's actually one of the best senior singles players in the world. So he's got a great story and a great guy and a great ambassador for the company.
He was with us the night that I was telling that story that people were,
Oh,
like,
great.
exhibiting. Yeah, he was with us that night, and, we were playing, and that was fun. That was a great
Yeah,
time.
and he had his Thrive paddle too. So I mean, we were with Alex, we had our Thrive paddles. I think that was the most amount of respect that I walked onto a court going on to it. So you had mentioned you do have two paddles out on the market now. For our listeners, could you give us a rundown on what the specs are for both of those paddles?
Okay, we have two paddles. We have a 13 millimeter and a 16 millimeter. They're both elongated paddles, so they're 16 and a half by 7.5 inches length and width. They're both thermoformed with Toray T700 carbon fiber, um, foam injected walls, the latest technology, unibody, with 5.5 inch handle on the Rush model, which is the 13 millimeter, and a 5.3 inch handle on the Threat, which is our 16 millimeter. Um, they're both they're very different paddles, which is something that we wanted to do. We wanted kind of hit both sides. The 13 millimeter has a little bit more pop, a little bit more power, where the 16 has a little bit more control. So you kind of have the best of both worlds with both paddles.
What I think is really cool that you do that I haven't seen done with other people, and for the people that are watching right now on, YouTube, I'm showing the paddle cover, but on the paddle cover, you have all the specific specs of the different paddles, and I wanted you to kinda get into the significance of swing weight and twist weight and balance point and head heavy. I mean, these are all the specs that you're providing your players who buy the paddles, but what's the importance to it? Because most players just think, "Oh, how much does a paddle weigh?" Or they're looking at
Hmm.
grip size, the basic specs, but there's so
Yeah.
much more that goes into a paddle that really makes it fit players and fit their game. So tell us a little bit about the technology goes into it and why these specs are so important.
Well, when I first got into the building the paddles, the one thing that I was very concerned about was when I would buy a paddle from another manufacturer before I got in the paddle business, I was getting inconsistent paddles. One would be heavy, one would be light. They they felt different, they were different, and I just never realized why I can't order what I want. I come from a golf background, and in golf, probably in the last 5 years, become very it's become very specialized where you can pick what you want. You can pick an extra stiff shaft at 65 grams with a different balance point, with a different kick point, different torque, all these different things. And I always thought, like, how can pickleball not even be even close to being there yet? I mean, you just buy a paddle and you get what they send you. And it was kind of frustrating because you're spending a lot of money on these paddles and you're not really getting what you want. So when I started digging deeper into paddles, I realized, much like a tennis racket, that what a paddle weighs on a scale, like a kitchen scale, is irrelevant. The most important thing is your swing weight, which is how it feels in your hand. So when you pick up a paddle, um, the static weight could be 8.2, which maybe would be a normal paddle, but it may feel heavy in your hand. Where I could have a paddle that could weigh 8.3 and it could feel light in my hand. So it was very important to me to be specialized. It takes a lot of time, but we hand weigh each and every paddle for the specs that you said. We have swing weight, we have twist weight, the balance point, the head heaviness, and finally, which is not as relevant, but we do put the static weight on there. And what makes us unique is once you find the paddle that you like, and we try to help you kind of guide you through what we feel would be a good weight for you. Next time you order the paddle, you just go on the website, pick a 119 swing weight, and that's what you're going to be sent out. It'll feel identical to your last paddle.
But how
That's
does somebody know the first time they order from you what they're looking for?
On our website, we kind of go through the process. We truly believe that every paddle needs to should have lead tape on it. Lead tape actually helps the overall performance of a paddle. It opens up the twist weight, which makes it greater, which makes the sweet spot larger. So we always try to tell people that if you like, let's say a medium to heavy paddle, order a medium paddle. That way we can add a little lead to the paddle and make it perform better. If you want a light paddle, order a light paddle. We can put a little bit of lead on there and it'll make the performance better. Um, it's not a science. I mean, I can't tell you exactly every time like what you specifically would like, but I think most people know if they like a lighter paddle or a heavier paddle or just kind of a medium weight paddle, and we kind of try to walk them through the process with
that sounds like a lot of math and science behind each
that.
paddle. I'm wondering though, how do you measure the swing weight?
There's actually machines that we have. We have three machines that we use, and it basically, um, the paddle moves back and forth, and it basically that's how it weighs the measurement of what it is.
Mhm.
If you go online, you can see like a tennis swing weight machine. It's basically the same thing, and we do the same thing for the twist weight as well.
And when you're talking about twist weight, like my twist weight on my threat paddle that I have here is a 6.53. I'm looking down at the
Mhm.
specs on it, right? Are you looking for high twist weight, low twist weight? When somebody's talking twist weight, what are they really getting a measurement of? And do they want is higher better, is lower better?
Higher is definitely better. And with the twist weight is basically if you have the paddle here on an off center hit, let's see if we can get in here. On an
Yeah.
off center hit, which would be here or here, how much does the paddle move this way? So if you hit it here, how much is it going to twist in your hand? So the higher the twist weight is when we measure the twist weight, we measure it this way. The higher the twist weight, the bigger the sweet spot, the more stable the paddle will be. So the goal is to have the highest twist. I tell every pro the same thing. My goal is to get the highest twist weight possible, where you still feel that the paddle, you still have good hand movement. A lot of times, as you put weight up the sides of the paddle, the twist weight will get super high, but your hand speed gets super slow because the paddle just starts to feel too heavy in your hand. So ideally, we like to get the twist weight on the threat model. The thicker the paddle, the higher the twist weight you're going to have. Over 7. If we can get over 7, you got an exceptional twist weight, exceptional sweet spot. You know, when we built paddles, just a little food for thought. Edgeless paddles always have a low twist weight. So when people have an edgeless paddle, it's going to have a small sweet spot. So I can go on record by saying, unless we can come up with some new technology, Thrive Paddles is never going to build an edgeless paddle because I just do not think they perform where they should be.
That's good to know. I've never, you hear about all these new technologies for pickleball paddles, and you want the latest, the greatest, but to actually know what you're getting when you're saying an edgeless paddle, like how does that affect your game? That's super interesting. Is there anything else that, in your opinion, kind of sets your company Thrive apart from the other paddle companies that's out there?
I think consistency is the main thing. Once you find a paddle you like, actually, I was playing today over at Lifetime Fitness, and one of our customers, had the paddle, loves it, and he goes, "I love the weight. I love how the lead tape that you provided. I went on the website and saw where to put it. I tinkered with it. I love the weight, and I'm ready to buy another one. I need a backup paddle for tournaments." And I said, "Not a problem. Just when you go on there, just shoot an email to us. Tell us exact what the weight on the card that you had, and we will give you the identical paddle." And he's like, "Wow, that's great." Because before I would buy a paddle and I was ready to buy a new one, and it would be too heavy or too light. So we feel with the consistency, we're just making better players, and that's what the game's all about: trying to make people better.
And earlier you were saying you would get multiple paddles and they would feel completely different. And you were referring to the same company, the same manufacturer, the same style of paddle, and they were
Yes,
inconsistent, right? So
correct.
I mean, that's a big concern, right? Because some people may have a paddle that they really enjoy, and then they order a backup paddle to try to match it, and it comes out and is completely different feel, and then they just wasted, $179 or $250 or whatever the paddle costs, right?
Correct. And that's the main thing. I mean, does it take a lot of time? Absolutely. When you're weighing thousands of paddles, it does take a lot of time. But I, just like you said, when you're paying that type of money, you should get what you want. I just don't think that I should pull it out of a box, put it in a bag, ship it to you, and say this is what you get. I think that you should be able to get exactly what you paid for. And we're trying to change the industry where maybe other people, if they want to take the time, they'll do it. If they don't, then that's probably better for us. But we're going to take the time. We're going to weigh every paddle. We have a quality control. If we don't like the specs of the paddle, if the twist weight is too low, if the paddle is too heavy, we're just not going to sell it. We'll just put it in the old box. It just kind of sits there and collects dust.
That's probably a cool box, though.
Well,
Yeah, right.
a lot of
Most
people,
people would probably love that box.
a lot of people see the box and they're like, "What's wrong with it?" I'm like, I could go for hours to tell you what's wrong, but these aren't going to get sold. So
Well, you mentioned the lead tape, and that's the other really cool thing that you do is you provide lead tape with every single paddle. You also provide an eraser, the head cover, right? I mean, it's not like just a paddle, which a lot of companies do.
mhm.
Going back to the lead tape part, like, what is where should you put it depending on what you're looking for? Educate people on how to properly use lead tape.
Lead tape. Well, the first thing is our lead tape is 3 grams, which is a little more than 0.1 ounces. And with lead tape, I always tell everyone the same identical thing. When you get the bars, the first thing you should do is put it, let's see if I can see here, put it almost right above the handle, 1 bar on each side.
Okay.
And before you do that, hit the paddle. Like just hit it, play a day with it, see what it feels like. Then put the lead tape where I just showed you. It's going to change very slightly the heaviness of the paddle. It's going to add a little weight to it, but pretty much it'll be not that noticeable. But it will open the sweet spot up. Then after you do that, I say add another one, add another 3 grams to each side, and see
Over
if you
the
can.
top of where they just put it, or
No, no,
higher up on
just
the
no,
paddle?
higher up on the paddle. So you're
Okay.
gonna put it like right here and see how that feels. Now the goal would be to get probably 2 or 6 grams on each side. That would probably open your sweet spot by about 10%.
Wow.
Now a lot of people can't handle that much. It just doesn't feel good in their hands. If you're a real wristy, flicky player, it may just feel a little bit heavy. So you may not be able to handle that much weight. But ideally, if you can, that's what you're looking for. Now, a lot of people would think like, let me just get the lightest paddle out there, and then I can put that much lead tape up on there, and there you go. But the lower the swing weight, the less the twist weight is going to be. So it's kind of like you got to kind of counterbalance it. And as you go up higher, you will notice a difference. So everyone's a little bit different. I never tell anyone you need to do this to your paddle. You need to do that. It's all personal opinion. So, but if you can handle it and you don't mind the lead tape and you can play with it, it definitely enhances the performance of the paddle.
Very
That's
cool.
crazy to hear that it increases by about 10%. Because
Yeah.
when I was playing with the paddle, I already thought that it had an incredibly large sweet spot, but now I can test out the lead tape and get 10% more of a sweet spot.
Yeah, just don't mishit it, and then we don't need to worry about that.
I'm kind of wondering though, is it easy to remove the lead tape? So if you were testing it out and let's say it wasn't comfortable, what's the adhesive like and is it easy to remove after you put it on?
Yeah, absolutely. Once you put it on, it's not going to come off. Like it's not going to fly off. A lot of different lead tapes out there. I found out like I would be hitting it, and it would fly off in the middle of a point, and then I would, I would put electrical tape over it just so it wouldn't do that. Our lead tape, once it's on there, it's on there pretty good. But if you need to take it off, it's not hard.
Okay.
I just wouldn't suggest using it again. The adhesive does kind of wear off.
Mm.
But we give you 10 pieces of lead tape, which can't imagine anyone would put 10 pieces on their paddle. So
Right.
you have plenty of tape, or that we call them lead bars. You have plenty of lead bars to use, to take off, to cut, whatever you may need. So that's not an issue.
Hey Scott, when you and I were talking on the phone prior to you coming on the show, and we were, initial talks about you coming on and stuff like that, you absolutely had me drooling about what's coming up in your next version of the paddle. Oh my gosh, you were describing it, and I was like, how do I get my hands on this paddle? Please tell our audience, like, what's coming up in 2024 for Thrive?
Well, we believe that you always have to innovate. We're never gonna just be stagnant. Rely on the two paddles we have. There's so many different types of paddles, different shapes, different sizes, and the one thing that we did is we went out to the public, our customer base, and asked what they're looking for. Like, we think we have two great paddles, but they're elongated paddles. So there's other shapes. And what the feedback we got was, is people are looking for more of that hybrid shape. Um, and right now we have three paddles that we're testing right now. They're all prototypes. That's that hybrid shape with different types of faces. When I talk about a face, is our two current ones are carbon fiber, which is kind of like the gold standard right now. But we're testing other types of faces as well. And they perform a little bit different. They feel a little bit different. And so far, the results that we've had, we have three that are phenomenal. We just have to decide which ones we're going to put into production. Maybe we'll put all three. We're not really quite sure yet. But we probably most likely will launch something in late first quarter of 2024.
What got me really excited, Scott, is when you were telling me your own experience testing these prototype paddles out, and you're playing against a pro, and the pro compared you with an existing paddle and the prototype paddle, and they said it was really a big jump for you in your game, and you're a good player already. So I was like, oh my gosh, could you imagine what it's gonna do to my game?
Well, the funny thing about paddles is, like everything evolves, everything becomes different. The new thing is people want power, and I always say, give what the people want. So one of the paddles that we're testing right now is a power paddle, and it hits like a freight train. I mean, it hits harder than anything I've ever seen. I mean, people talk about the gearbox paddle, hits hard, ours hits harder. It could be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. With a hard hitting paddle, you are going to lose a little bit of control, but a lot of people are going to win a lot of points at the net. A lot of ground strokes, a lot of singles players are going to love it. So it hits really hard. It's got great spin. Surprisingly, for how hard it hits, it's got really good control as well. So we're real excited about one of the paddles that we're in development right now.
And we are super excited too. That sounds amazing. And we can't wait for our listeners who are also excited and pumped for this new paddle to come out. Where can they follow to make sure that they don't miss when it drops?
The best thing is to go to our website. It's www.thrivepb.com. Go on there. We have a box in there. Just put your email address in, and whenever we have any news, discounts, coupons, whatever it may be, we will email it out to you. When this new paddle does, we'll probably have a pre-sale. Hopefully, we think it's going to be very popular, and we can just give any updates with any of the latest things we have going on.
Very cool, very cool. And I also wanted to thank you because you were generous enough to give our audience a little discount code. I believe it's third shot, all spelled out, and they'll get a little discount on their Thrive paddle. I mean, your paddle is worth way more than what you charge for it, but
Thank you.
getting a little discount doesn't hurt our audience as well to get it in their hands. And I'm pretty darn sure I've brought it out to the courts many times so far and let some of my friends play it, and I have not had a player yet tell me that the Thrive paddle was any worse than what they've already been playing. They've all said it's better than what they've been playing.
Well, that's
So
great to hear.
that's it's a lot of people just bought a paddle too, and they're going, "Oh my gosh, I just bought a paddle. I wish I had this one."
Well, now they can. By the time the new one comes out, they'll be ready.
Right, right. And I already
Exactly.
have a couple people that ordered them. I mean, they are super excited and playing their Thrive paddles, and they see me playing my Thrive, so they're pretty darn excited. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, no problem at all.
Yeah, and I think we need to do one last toast to Thrive and to the up and coming 2024. Let's get those paddles out there.
That's right.
Sounds good. Hold on, I gotta reload, I think.
Yeah, get
Reload
that
that
peanut
peanut
butter
butter.
whiskey.
I'm gonna have to get you a bottle now.
Oh, well, when I come down, I'm gonna be coming down in February sometime. We'll definitely make sure we get together and have a toast in person.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you for
Thanks for
coming
coming
on.
on, Scott.
And thank you, audience, for joining us at Third Shot. Bridgie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey. Special thanks to Scott Phillips, the founder of Thrive Pickleball. He's got amazing paddles. I encourage all of you to go to his website, order some paddles, check them out. I really believe that you will feel the difference immediately when you try his paddles out. Continue to share your journey with us. Come on to our website, come on to our social media. Please give us comments. We will continue to look for guests just like Scott, and let's grow this pickleball community together. See you next time on Third Shot Podcast.